and you will pass over in North Carolina.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
The ISUPK, under Commander General Yohana, will be hosting the Lord's 54th annual Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Convention Center. This is something that you do not want to miss. Make sure that y'all bring the entire family. The Downtown Raleigh Convention Center. For Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. Go to ISUPK.com to purchase your tickets today. $200 per every adult over the age of 17 years old.
We are not the same. No, we not related. I'm not stuck on living. Death is a vacation. My camp undefeated. You cannot debate it. You just want the clout.
The Lord's 54th annual Passover, April the 1st, is coming down to Raleigh, North Carolina. Commander General Yohana has done it again. You don't want to miss this. Pull yourself! Pull yourself!
One Westboro.
Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Handle lights and teddy bears, I'm trying to leave your block romantic. Flicking off the hip, I lead a scene, looking like I'm dancing. Ain't one Westworld, best believe we not gon' stand big titties on a drum. The stick figure looking outstanding. Rip his top with the hands of the Lord, call that God tears. Send a spear right to the sky and watch his front tear. I'm that nigga cause I run with them niggas, so let's get that clear. Don't question who say I'm the GOAT, I tell them God did. Order to be the best, you gotta beat the best. To me that's suicide. Of course I sound cocky to a glizzy eater, fuck your pride. Don't need a horoscope to see I'm a star, so fuck your sign. You can believe in anything you want, but as for me and mine, God mode, I am what I am, so let's just keep in mind. Don't wanna be like Yaya Kyrie, they wanna be like I. She said she lost until she found me, and then she found a tribe, and then I make a bout face until she called me out of wine. The weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for it. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for it. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. War time, no questions asked, we come and find you. His problems, my problems, and I'm standing behind you. Stepping with style, I'm standing on shit in my product. I take on the crowd, tell them all, throw in the towel. Half moon with a silencer, make it sound like a howl. We the shit, we about movements with a growl. Heavy is the head with the crown, when I take it I'm proud. I get the order, bring my sword back wet with a smile, nigga. I'm an Israelite rapper, nigga. Would never hit his wife, but I'll go at you. I make commitments to a gun if I'm talking about a tantrums. Nigga said he a stand-up dude, that mean we laughing, nigga. Jumped on the beat, start snapping, you leaving fractures. Red and green bean, I'm Gucci, you thinking fashion. Dad go shoot for the green, and I ain't talking St. Patrick. You screaming all lives, I'm screaming all guns matter. Keep it biblical, talking in parables, cause it matter. If I say bring Jake up, I'm talking about a ladder. He was the wave till I came with the fire, no John the Baptist. Who cared you did it first? You should be worried about who after. I'm connected in any habitat, shit I adapted. Nose job on a brand new snub is all plastic. That's why I show up the court with jeans on, I'm never slacking. You a rapper turned Israelite, I'm an Israelite rapping. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for it. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for it. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. All time, no questions asked, we come and find you. His problems, my problem. Stepping with style, I'm standing on shit in my product. I take on the crowd, tell them all.
Throwing the towel. Heavy is the head with the crown. When I take it, I'm proud. I get the water, bring my sport back, wait with a smile, nigga.
I got you. Let it vibe real quick. Look. City eyes. It's time to Bogart. My God, a real nigga. Cause he want no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure. Got that shotty in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard. Tell them it's all true. Be cautious. That foundation voltage to fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game. I'm John Q. The colder than the avalanche. Way above average. Offense taste sweet. Told him make me an hypocrite. Left us in the valley full of bones. This where hope found. Child become a man. Dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evanston with Mark Quad. Telling me how them crackers turned his childhood to a ghost town. Poker stop, nigga. I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, so tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them other niggas rap, I make anthems. I really seen prophets under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirty Diana. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo. Spirit ancient, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Waldo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride around with Yaradar, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than Baby's kid. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
All right, Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. We've been established and teaching the truth since 1969. Let me make sure all the social medias are up. Let me check on TikTok. Let me check on YouTube, Twitter. All right, we'll look all to all. But Shalom, Israel. This is the Monday Night History class. This is the Israelite School of UPK. ISUPK is the only authorized acronym to teach the truth, and we're here to bring our people, the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the true history of the Bible. And the title of this class is the part 2 about religion versus culture. In essence, it really turns into like wealthy versus the poor, because a lot of our people who are wealthy, a lot of our people who are rich, tend to think down on the Lord's chosen people, tend to think down on those who have not, tend to think down on who's very fortunate, who's blessed, who has riches, who's the smartest, who's the most educated. So we really want to talk about the culture of being rich, and well, not the culture of being rich, but I guess you could say the culture of being rich, but a lot of it is really about what can you gain, you know what I'm saying? So like, what's better, to be part of something that everyone else can have, or is it better to have like something of your own? All right. So like, let me double check to TikTok. I keep saying it's resume live. All right, I think we should be Tawab. All right, so religion versus culture, part 2. Last week I brought out just a few scriptures to talk about like what it's like. You know, I brought out the definitions of words, of culture, of religion, and a lot of times we tend to think that like everyone can be accepted. When you have like your own culture, it should be exclusive. Go ahead and ask your questions. Also, if y'all got any questions or comments, just put them in the chat, and I get to answer your questions or whatnot. Let's hold off on the trolling. You know, some people want this is a place for people to learn. We're not here to entertain nonsense. We're not here to entertain foolish talks, foolish behaviors. All right. That's also, let's respect one another. All right. So let me just answer this question. What let someone ask a net prober? It's like I mess your name up. So what led you to religion? They don't personally believe in a higher power, but respect those who do. So when it comes to religion, that's what I went over in last week's class as in part 1. Ask your question, Blue 3764. You said you asked me a question, but you never asked it. So I'm going to go ahead and answer the first question until you type in your other question. So what led you to religion? So that's the problem amongst the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We think that we have a religion, meaning like anybody can join, long as you believe and long as you say you confess with your whole heart that you accept your Lord and Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you can go to heaven and all your sins will be washed away. But when it comes to religion, that's just something that's considered like man-made. It is something that different doctrines that was created by men. For an example, when you ask that question, if you look into the Bible, it doesn't mention Jehovah's Witnesses. It does not mention Seventh-day Adventists. It doesn't mention whatever all these different other factors of religion, because those were man-made. Amongst the Israelites, they believe in the Most High, Yahweh in the Hebrew. They believe in the God of Israel. So it wasn't a sense of we all just believe because that's what we were taught to do. That's what we're taught to do today amongst different oppressors, amongst different powers that rule over people, whether it be from the Greeks, whether it go to the Romans or the Samaritans or the Egyptians, or today the Americans or the Ashkenazi Jew, the European Jew, or whether it be any of these people who has power. When you conquer people, you can make them worship your God. So therefore, it took us being conquered, and we took on the God of our oppressors, of those who conquered us. All right. So that's to answer your question. We're not religious. The School of Israelite Universal Practical Knowledge, we are a 501c3 organization that teaches these so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans their true identity according to the Bible. And we have like what we call a 12-tribe chart, and nobody was ever able to dispute it. The earth is opening up more and more evidence to prove of God's chosen people and where they at. And we're here to teach our people we should not be religious. Like if you're saying you don't respect and honor religion, neither does we, because we're not all inclusive for everybody. We're about culture of the Lord's chosen people, the culture of the God of Israel. And our culture is to separate. Our culture is to come back and to honor and to put in the work and to show brotherhood and sisterhood, how we're supposed to treat one another. All right, let's say people confused as a religion and not a culture. Yeah, sometimes when you have like a culture can be, in a sense, depending on the context of how it's used, culture can be considered all-inclusive or be very selective. In the sense of how we're using it, we're talking about culture as just the culture of the Bible, the culture of the God of Israel. And you can find it via Old, Apocrypha, and New Testament. You understand? So we're here to teach our people the culture of the Israelites. And our culture is to separate. Last week I brought out scriptures how other nations knew that if you get the Jews to turn away against their God, you can be victorious over them. So they had to seduce us. They had to put things in front of us and to make the weaker version of us fall in love with like whatever they had to offer, whether it be like the women, whether it be like their type of gold they might have had, or the certain land that they might have had, that was able to seduce us and to get us to rebel against our God. And then today, they still do it today, whether it be with the LGBTQIA plus community, whether it be with child pedophilia, whether it be with molestation, whether it be with glorifying murdering, whether it be glorifying robbing, whether it be glorifying whoremongering, whether it be glorifying those of our sisters who pole dance for $1 bills. I don't know if I can say the other word on TikTok. You gotta watch what you say on TikTok so you don't get shut down. But the point is, a lot of things that you see in the earth, it keeps us to go against the culture of our God, the Most High, and to accept religion and to accept our ideologies of life. All right. All right. So let me just go up here. Let's see what the question is. So to top it off on your question, nothing led me to religion because I'm not religious. But the scripture says, "He that has an ear, let him hear." You know, everyone has ears, right? Usually, all people are born with ears. So when Christ said that, he that has an ear, let him hear, not really talking about just your ears. It's talking about who can understand what's been said. If you can understand it, listen to what he's been saying. God is only here for the children of Israel. Thus said the Lord. That's in the Bible. And if you need me to, I can pull up the scripture to prove what I'm saying. All right, so we're not religious. You know, we don't believe in something that everyone else can believe in. All right. We want to believe in the God of Israel, the God of the Bible. You understand? And when we was in rulership, if you look at it this way, everything is really centered around the Bible over the earth. If you look at the factions of Islam or the factions of Judaism or the factions of Buddha or so forth and so on, a lot of cultures of people amongst themselves of their race, they tend to try to have of one God. They used to have like 1,000s, but some of them they try to have like a most powerful God. They try to center around one. They try to have like a certain language to speak to their God. And a lot of times people just use the model of the Bible to rule over their people. But we're not here for all races of people. We're only here for the Lord's chosen people. We're not here for everybody else. So if you are a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American, we're here for you. We're here to teach our people about how not to be religious, how to follow the culture of your own people. Because our culture was taken away from us. It was robbed of us. Like our language. We speak our oppressor's language. Like if you ask yourself, what's your last name? I most guarantee if you was born in America, more than likely, depending if you're Hispanic or not. If you're Hispanic, you might have a last name of a Spaniard, you know, Hernandez, you know, something like that, Cortez, and I'm not that familiar with Hispanic last names, but if you was a so-called Negro or something like that, you'll have a last name of a Smith or Williams or Johnson and Jones. You know what I'm saying? So we have the last name of our oppressors because we do not know our name. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. Let's see. Go ahead and report it. We're here to teach our people. Let's see. Amira 1700. Do I believe that the writer of the KJV was Black? The King James version, he didn't write, but King James was a Black man. He was a king, of course. He was a Black man. If you need me to, I can bring out the history on that. He was a so-called Black man. All right. Oh no, I'm not offended at all. You know, my job is to teach and educate our people, and for them to get understand. So because if you didn't ask that question, someone else has probably wanted to ask that question, but just didn't ask it. So you probably asked the question that someone else was pondering on asking. But that's what you all right. You ask more if you got more. So all right. So what we're building on is this. We're building on how to establish the culture, how to separate yourself from religion, to understand the difference. And then on top of that, I'm going to segue into it to talk about the rich versus the poor. Because a lot of times when we think of religion, we think of our religious leaders, and they all is about money. No one cares about the poor. Because if you notice, like religious people is all about all inclusive. Like everyone can come join them, but they're not with everybody. But who has something that who has something that they're close knit with? Like look at the culture or how the poor people react. You know what I'm saying? So like we have been downtrodden, we have been beaten, we have been lied to over so many years. But it's about time that we separate from religions. We separate from factions that tend to hurt the Lord's chosen people. And we teach people that you can get out the hell that you're in. And we're going to go through the scriptures to prove it. All right? So let me just check the others. Let me check YouTube Tawab. It's all right. So I see some people in here, you know. So for the Paul Christian, he's talking about the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? It was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob is the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. You're talking about those who are in the truth. That's the I she became. We said our numbers are low. What I can just show in the scripture, it shows that God says he chose Israel not because for their many, was because they're in lower numbers. So God does not like numbers. If you read the Bible, you would know that, all right? And if anybody left the ISUPK, you was never with us anyways. You understand? So we like to trim the fat around here. We like to trim down of those who seek to harm us, those who seek to cause a schism. You understand? Like, we're here at One Body, One Faith, and we're here to offer counsel to our brothers and sisters, to show our people, like, look, if one offends thee, go to him and him alone. Discuss about that ought that you have with that brother or that sister, and come back and love one another, all right? All right, so let's get into it. All right. So the brother says it was about hate. Well, what do God hate? Well, for this Williams block, you said it was nothing but hate. That what do God hate anything? That's a question for you. Do God hate anything? What's the difference between America and the Israelites? America is a country named after Amerigo Vespucci, and it's ruled by white Americans. The Israelites are the ones who they rule over, the ones they are oppressing. All right. So let's jump straight into it. So let's get into like the respect. I know a lot of our people tend to respect people based on status. They tend to respect religious leaders. They tend to respect if you got the most money. They tend to respect how well you dress, so forth and so on. All right. He hate you with your false. So Williams block. You still didn't answer the question. All right. You still didn't answer the question. Do God hate? God tells you who he hates and what he hates. All right. So we can take on the spirit of the Most High. The Lord, Scripture says the Lord is a man of war. You know, so I don't know a man of war who loves every damn thing. You know what I'm saying? And you are the prime example of the religious ones. That all inclusive and all kumbaya and come together. We're about culture. We're about separate for those who seek to harm us. We're about separate for those who seek to try to take advantage of us, who seek to try to rule over us. We're about separate from those who goes against this doctrine, that goes against our culture of the Most High. All right, so we're here to teach our people they can come back to their own culture, to come back and to do the work of what God has intended for you to do. Like, we have to understand, like, we've been living in America doing what they want us to do, and we're still downtrodden. We're still in last place. We're beneath last place, if such a thing could exist. Like, we are the ones who are being destroyed, all right? So we have to understand, like, if we don't come back to the culture, to our culture, to the God of Israel, we won't ever get out underneath from this hell that we're in. You understand? So we have to come back to teach our people. So what you say, sis? Give me 1 second, sis. I'll come back and answer your question. Give me 1 second. So we have to come back to understand, like, if you don't come into the law, statutes, and commandments, those are the foundations of how we're supposed to live. And I can bring out the scriptures. So when we was following the Most High, we were in rulership. We was blessed. We had everything that we could desire. And when we disobeyed the Most High, curses come upon us. Us not knowing our homeland, us not knowing how to follow the Most High, us not having a leader until 1969. So the sister asked the question, what is a white Hebrew? So the BHI is a more of a shot or a term that they call Black Hebrew Israelites, and it's more of a negative connotation that our oppressors use to to sum up what the Israelites are. It's really slightly offensive, because when you say Black Hebrew Israelites, it implies that there is a white Hebrew Israelite, meaning like other races of people, as in the Ashkenazi European Jew or the Jewish man. All right, so they just say that Black Hebrew Israelites, they just say that to use it as a tag or a title to lump them in as what they would call extremists. All right, in essence, Hebrew comes from the name Ibar, which means that's the language. Israelite means you are the son of, like you are the race of. So we make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Israelite means just the seed of Israel. Jacob, his name was changed to Israel. And then you have like the tribes. So we're just Israelites or Jews to sum it up. Now we can go by your particular tribe. The word Jew can has different context to it. It might mean the Southern Kingdom. It might mean all the 12 tribes together, or it can be short for Judah. All right, so depending on the context. So the Jews are the Israelites. That's just another word for it. So a Black Hebrew Israelite, that's the words they used to say to us. What about Matthew 21 and 42? Hebrews are Hebrews. Depending on the context, Hebrews are Hebrews. But in this context, when we say Hebrews, we are using the context to refer to the Israelites. All right. So when we say no one is pure blood, you read in Numbers, it says we establish our houses through our father's side. So regardless of what your mother is, whatever your father is, that's what you are. No matter how you look, no matter how your pigmentation, your hue is, your texture of hair. It no matter if your mother was a Caucasian and your father was an Haitian, that make you an Israelite. You are the seed of your father. All right. So let's get on with the class. Let's go on. Let's get to James 2 and 9. So when we talk about culture and religious people, our culture that's put up on us today is us not having a culture. Us thinking that we have to be religious and we have to accept all different types of ideologies that's out there. So let's go to James 2 and 9. And I'm here to teach our people, like, you don't have to have a respect for persons. Having a respect for persons is the reason why our religious leaders get rich and stay rich. And it's the reason why we abandon like our culture. Because we think that now when they got a bag, they got a Lamborghini, they got the Rolls Royce truck or whatever, that they can they have it all. Like, you can't listen to nobody who doesn't have riches, as if being wealthy means any damn thing as it pertains to information. That just means you just made a lot of money. You understand? So we're going to go to James 2 and 9, and we're going to see what the scripture says about respecting people because they have a certain status. What you say? Yeah. What about Umar Johnson? You know, what about, he may mean well, but he falls under the faction of everyone being accepted. I would put him on the religious type for this meaning. If you are so-called black in anything, whether your mother's black or your father's black, and if you have any ounce of black blood in you, he falls under that. You all can be accepted. All right, so Slocky, he falls under that. All can be accepted, and we're to teach our people we're not the same as all other races. You understand? Like, even white Americans will understand that if you go in America, if you go take someone, let's say like you take someone who's from France, they're French. You take them, bring them here in America, and raise them up, and he becomes political and he does everything right, and he decides he wants to run for president. He wasn't born in America. He just has his visa. He's allowed to be here in America, but he's French. America has laws that says that if you're not a born American, you cannot be president of America. the point is, yes, they look alike as far as like skin complexion, but they are two different races. So therefore they understand they cannot mix in that faction. The point is to bring about Umar is he believes in pro-African. Those are over 50 countries. We're not the same. The Africans has a hand in our slavery as well. And that's the crime they have yet to pay for. So thoughts on Umar Johnson, he is the religious type. He does not believe in separation. He is inclusive, but just amongst the dark-skinned race of people. A certain dark skin, meaning all Africans, whether it be from the whole continent of Africa, and then the ones who are indigenous to these North Central and South Americas. I don't believe he's pro on the East Indians, but you can't quote me on that. You have to look that up about the East Indians. I'm not certain on that. But as far as the other part, he's a Pan-Africanist and he's all about pro-Africa. Being pro-Africa does not benefit the Lord's chosen people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right. Hope that answers your question. So he is under the religious faction. When I say religious faction, I'm talking about those who believes that all can be accepted or the both can be accepted. When I talk about culture, I'm talking about what separates you from everybody else. And Deuteronomy 7:6 says, we are a holy people. We are to be above all other races of people upon the face of the earth. And we need to come back to that culture. We need to come back to the culture of being like, well, someone saying the pure blood, be a part of that royal priesthood, be a part of that royal family, as in God's chosen family, as in the 12 tribes of Israel. Someone talk about pure bloods. All right. Yeah, we're all over the earth. All right. So let's go to James 2:9. So when I bring up James 2:9, this is to show our people how we should not respect the religious leaders of our people, the wealthy ones of our people, because they have money. Then that's one of the reasons why we remain down that we are today, because we tend to think that if you don't have money, you shouldn't listen to that man. If you don't, if you don't have a big house, you shouldn't listen to him. As if a big house means that you can teach anybody anything. Meaning, like, having a big house doesn't mean that you are a righteous person. It just means that you got some money. No one has said how you got that money, but you got some money. And you can get the money of various ways, legally and illegally. That's how people make their money. Whether you can be you run a Fortune 500 company, or you own your own business, or you probably out there selling narcotics. A lot of people have money, but that doesn't mean you are righteous. Like, you should not envy those who have money, because that's what we've been doing amongst our people today. You know, after they robbed us of our culture, our language, our God, our way of life, then they gave us religion. They gave us to be all inclusive. They gave us to support and have everybody come in and honor and so forth and so on. But they did not teach our people how to respect your own culture. Like, they took their respect away and gave us this. So let's go to the book of James chapter 2, verse 9. You can find this in the New Testament. So James 2:9, it says, but if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin, and is convinced of the laws as transgressors. So that right there, right off the bat, is telling you that you should not have respect of persons. So you see that religious leader who has that big old bankroll and them $20,000 dog he has or she has, and they got the nice mansion. You shouldn't respect them because they have riches. Like, they've done nothing to earn your respect. And you should not have respect of persons. We tend to think that just because you got riches, that you know exactly what you're talking about. You know how many times you see those who got money and can barely hold a 45-second conversation? Like, their intellect isn't just that high. Some people get money based on the skill that they have, based on an inheritance, based on, they just did a good business deal. So I'm not trying to belittle it. And, if you want to make money, it's not hard to make money in America. It is a capitalistic country. It is not hard to make no money, but they don't make it accessible for everybody to make money. You understand? They're hiding the information. All right. So we have to understand, like, our people has been told that we should strive to be like our religious leaders. We should strive to be like the best NBA player or the best football player, the best boxer. But nobody tells our people like, hey, now you might see it now in today's time or like on social media or different reels and stuff like how to make an extra $500 a week by doing 10 hours of work. Or they might show you like get your CDL license and open up an LLC. We're seeing that come out now because somebody got that information and wanted to push it out there towards people. But for a while, it was hidden from us. And we was not allowed to make money for a small brief of time in this country, being integrated, of course. When we were separated and segregated, we had money. We had like our own thriving cities. We had our own money, and we was thriving in this country under the hell that we was in because we knew how to separate. We knew that we cannot join amongst our oppressors. All right. So James 2:9 says, like, don't have respect of persons. Like, if you have a respect of a person, that means you don't have any integrity for yourself. Meaning, like, you're going to do whatever they say to do to get that money. I'll give you an example. You can look at, we've all heard stories, and for those who are skeptic about, even if you say it has not been confirmed, you have not seen any evidence, we heard these type of stories amongst a bevy of different eyewitnesses to this account that say that for a lot of people, in order to make it big in Hollywood, if you are a heterosexual man, you're gonna have to do a alternative lifestyle act. You understand? Like, you got to do an alternative lifestyle act to get that big movie script. You have to go inside these different parties, and they are doing all kind of sensual behaviors. You know what I'm saying? They're doing all kind of lewd acts, and it's same gender. You understand? Or you hear about a lot of women say that they was touched inappropriately by the director, or they had to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep it PG. They had to get some knee pads. They had to heels to the ceiling type stuff. So we've all heard of the acts that people respect of a status. And if you had zero respect of persons, the moment you go to that director's house and he tells you to lay down that bed and do heels to the ceiling, you should have let him have it right then and there. You should have yelled at him. You should have called him every derogatory book name in the book, and you probably should have stormed up out of there and called your relatives at X, Y, and Z. But those who have respect of persons, they lay down on that bed. For those men who are heterosexual men but allow a alternative lifestyle man come fondle you from behind, you have respect for that person, meaning like you have respect for his status. You desire to have that to be in that movie that bad. Or if you notice, like now it is extremely hard to find, especially a male black actor who has not did anything related to the LGBTQ community act in the movie. For a while, Samuel Jackson made it into the movie Hateful Eight. I'm like, man, my man Samuel Jackson going strong until the Hateful Eight. He did that alternative lifestyle scene. Who else you got? You got The Rock and Kevin Hart. They did a alternative scene. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, those are men. We have heard of men and women who go through these types of behaviors because they have respect of persons. They want that movie title. They want those millions and millions and millions of dollars. They lack the integrity. They lack the culture of their people. Meaning, like, you don't have any respect for yourself. So you have respect of persons. You have respect for a position. So therefore, you do things that compromises you. You do things that compromise your integrity. All for what, $1 million? All for $100 million. Like, where's your integrity? Like, our people has been doing this for so long, and so long in these scripture, it's been telling us, do not have respect of persons. Like, we hear about Harvey Weinstein and all the cases out against him. The Me Too movements and the women that's now trying to come out and speak about the crimes that was committed against them X amount of years ago. You understand? So when we see this, those are women who can say, all right, they might have been afraid, but some of them had respect or person to even go there, to even put themselves in that type of position, outside of being seduced or hoodwinked to go to such said apartment, such said bedroom, and all this other stuff. Like, some of the women not that damn naive. I don't give them that much credit for being naive and green. But the point is like, oh, Terry Crews is another one. He's a big 6'5", 245-pound man, and he told the world that a director smacked him on the behind, and he done nothing. And he says he's not a participant of the LGBTQIA plus community. He says he's not a participant of that alternative lifestyle, and yet that man was able to touch him on the behind, find him on the behind, and he done nothing. You know why he done nothing? Because he had respect of persons. And when you have respect of persons, it will compromise your integrity and you have sinned. So let's reread James 2:9. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin, and are convinced of the law as transgressors. Like you are breaking the law. When you break the law, you are a sinner. Like, do not have respect to persons. All right, and that's in the New Testament. And we're going to go into the Old Testament to figure out where they got it from. Having respect to persons, honoring the religious leaders, honoring the wealthy ones, honoring this director because he has status, he's famous. He could, everyone, all the girls drop to their knees, all the guys go crazy, whatever the case may be. Everyone wants to, all the paparazzi want to take pictures and want to be hoo-yah and kumbaya, so forth and so on. We must not have respect to persons. And that's the reason why the rich, that they're in the position they're in, why they stay rich, because we have those who would compromise and give up their whole entire integrity just to get a piece of that pie. When you should have just said, to hell with your pie. You're only rich because I'm buying your movies. You're only rich because I'm buying your product. What if I don't buy your product and I go shop with Hernandez? Or if I go to the Jamaican store and buy some mocktails? Or I go to Soul Food Sundays, or whatever the case may be. My point is, we can change this kingdom overnight by coming back to the culture of the God of Israel. If you are the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American, you have your own culture. You have your own way of life. It's like it. If you don't want to honor that way of life, then what you would get? We will get the hell that we're in. We will continue to have those of our enemies rule over us. All right, so let's go to Deuteronomy 1:17, going to the Old Testament to figure out where they got the respect to persons, or what not to do. Like the Bible, Mosiah is such a genius, he knew that respect of persons will destroy his people. You know what I'm saying? But that's why he said not to do it. That was from James 2:9, and this is for Batson Better Life. James 2:9, and now we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17. And we're going to show in the scriptures why you should not have respect or person to that religious leader or to that man that has a lot of money. You understand? So, all right, give me Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17. So what we just read was in the New Testament. That was the book of James. Now we're going to go to the Old Testament. All right. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 17. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye should not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. So when it's talking about like judgment right there, a lot of times the rich always get soft with what they get off with. Like if you look at that one filthy piece of garbage, was it Kevin Spades? There's a molesting case out on him. And he says, well, if y'all take me down, I'm taking everybody else down. And then we heard nothing of the case ever since. And that's happened like a year or two ago. Now they might have removed him from that show he was on with House of Cards. But when this Deuteronomy says this, you should not respect persons in judgment, but you should hear the small as well as the great. You should not be afraid to face them. I mean, like, the rich people always get off on their cases damn near. Why? Because they got the most money. Because they know the DA. They know the judge. They go golfing together. And this is why you should not have respect to persons. Because when you do this, you compromise, you let the wicked get away. you compromise the integrity. And the Bible right here is telling you not to do that. Why is it that they always say, like, if a crime was put on you, and let's say you did not commit the crime, right? They'll tell you have to get yourself a good lawyer. When they say a good lawyer, they mean like an expensive lawyer. All right, and if you can't afford that expensive lawyer, you might not be able to get free. Why is it that amongst our oppressors, like, they always find loopholes to get off of certain crimes? I'll give you another example. That sleazeball Brett Favre. It has been said that he had a direct hand into stealing hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars out of the state of Mississippi for the needy to build his daughter a new volleyball gym or volleyball something, right? He is rich. Why is it that he stole that money, but the IRS are not knocking on his door to arrest him? They didn't freeze his accounts. They didn't throw him in jail. You want to know why? Because there is a respecter of persons. You respect him because he's a rich man and he has many friends. But if it was, let's say, if that was, unless y'all can think of somebody amongst our people that stole money like that, they got locked up. They got incarcerated. They was thrown in jail. But somebody like that, they're rich. They don't see jail time because that is right there a respecter of persons. Like, we don't hear enough of people still talking about the crimes that was committed. Like, you heard them bash Colin Kaepernick more for him trying to stand up for black people, but Brett Favre he steal millions of dollars from poor people out of the state of Mississippi, but no one said anything about it. You understand? Nobody said anything about it. You know why? Because that's the respect of persons. And that's why it's so dangerous not to respect our persons, because if you do that, they won't seek judgment. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to wait on the Most High to get that judgment. But they won't seek out to have judgment. You understand? They won't do right by the Most High. All they're going to do is continue to steal and rob and do things for like their own selfish gain. You understand? So when you have respect of persons, this is what happened. When somebody was to mistreat you and touch you inappropriately, especially amongst in that Hollywood or some record label, you understand? Like, you desire to have that check so much. Or I can do another one, like Young Thug. You know, he said he don't live an alternative lifestyle, but yet he used to put on dresses. He used to cross dress, to do stuff like a woman. For record sales, you know, that's the respect of a person. Like, he compromised his own integrity. And we see this done to black men so many times. And don't nobody mention me about any other race, because they're not the focus points of this conversation. Like, respect of persons, and you respecting those riches. Like, you respect like their status, what they have to gain, what they have to offer. We're not to do that, because when you do, we get destroyed. All right, so we can't have respect of persons. If you think like you got a little bit of respect of persons, man, flush that nonsense right on out your system. Like, give to the poor man. Like, why nobody? Why, like, don't you know, like, with the water prices happening in Mississippi, they could have used those millions of dollars to build up one of them. I gotta look at that brother's name. That's a man that built a machine that takes the air and turns it into water. They could have used that money that they made to buy a couple of those machines to get themselves clean water, to get themselves some water. But Brett Favre wanted to use that money for a volleyball field for his daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was already rich. He should have made good business deals and used his own riches to build that volleyball field. But now he wants to steal money. And that's the reason why you cannot have that. Like, if y'all not mad about what Brett Favre did, you are respecting persons, and you fall upon the religious ideology of everyone all being inclusive. We need to have those who want to separate themselves, who don't have respect of persons, and you understand, and to go come into the culture of their own people, their own God. All right, I'm going to drop that. Let's go to Proverbs 22 and 16. So I'm just going to try to drill into our people here that when you serve the Most High, you know what I'm saying, so what if you're not rich? Being wealthy does not define you. Why this is kept, There are a lot more poor than there is wealthy. There's a whole bunch of us. And even when we get the kingdom of heaven, not all of us will be in the same position. Meaning, like, some of us will have higher positions, some of us might have a position that's not so high. So, like, we all cannot be what the blacks teach in our community. We all can't be kings and queens. Somebody has to rule and someone has to serve. The point is, when you serving, how much are you serving? Like, what position are you serving? Are you serving in a low state? Or are you serving in a high state? You understand? Like, there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of us, if you have a job, especially you clock in, you're serving someone else. You're trading in your time for money. So even if you got yourself a good slavery, a good job, like you trading your own time for money, all right? And that's just how it was built. This is how this place was built. You understand? So it's all right if you work for somebody. No sweat. A lot of us work for somebody. What the point is, not to have respect for that, not to have respect of persons. Like, that's what we must not do. Like, they commit some crime or they do something wrong, you're not to be like, oh, well, he got money, he can just buy a way out and he'll be fine, it'll all go away. No, not no signs. Damn, what's those signs called? Those forms called? When you make them sign something, they can't talk about it. Someone put that in the chat what this called. I don't know why it's slipping me right now. Non-disclosure agreement, something like that. All right, so that's what that's called. Give me 1 second while I look. So like it. Your NDA, non-disclosure agreement. That's what it was. I knew I was close. Yeah, so, and that's right there. That right there is a wicked form. Like, you make some of our kinsmen who's been murdered out in the streets, and when the state pays them money for the unlawful or wrongful death, they make them sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. I mean, like, they can't even speak about the atrocities to share their stories about what happened, or what those wicked DAs and judges said to them, and the wicked detectives said to them inside them small cut-off rooms, and the amount of money that they may have gotten, and how they can spend that money. That right there is a system that makes you be a part of this respect of persons. Like, that right there forces you to be a part of the wicked society. Appreciate that, Jed the Web. Appreciate that for water. But yeah, so a non-disclosure agreement, like, it forces our people to be quiet, not say anything. And it's mostly that's mostly done to us by the rich and powerful, by the system that chooses to keep you docile, to keep you quiet. Like, it's almost like, well, what happened with Brett Favre? Everyone that witnessed that had signed an NDA for him. You understand? Like, a non-disclosure agreement. Like, they can't say nothing about it. We ain't heard a word about it since it broke out on SportsCenter and made some local newses, right? Outside of that, you ain't heard nothing about no jail time. You ain't heard nothing about he had to bond out. They froze his accounts. They took the money back. We didn't hear nothing about that. Like, they took the money back. He's been sued. But we do know is he trying to sue other people for talking about it. So that is a respect of a person. So we have to get outside the mentality that we can be a part of the earth. So, like, you hear me? All right. So, like, you have a little glitch in the system. So we can bear with me 1 second. All right, so we're in Proverbs 22 and 16. Proverbs 22 and 16. So when we talk about the rich, Peyton Manning. Oh, that's another thing. Peyton Manning had something happen when he was in college at UT. Some old, inappropriate stuff. Like, it's always something inappropriate or sexual with a lot of times with men when it comes to women. He did something, right? And it could have faced some jail time, but He had money. He paid her off and made her sign an NDA. So this is a respect of persons, and like they have like this form that makes you be quiet. They NDA, that's a vicious sign. I mean, it's cool if you got the position of power, but like if you don't, I mean, my goodness, like once you sue somebody, you gotta sign a form. I wonder if you sue somebody, would you sign that form, or would you just stay poor just to talk about the crimes that happened? You understand? So that's a question to ask yourself. Would you ever sign an NDA form after you sue somebody and got millions of dollars? You that's just a little food for thought, a little question just to ask people. All right, so I'm gonna keep going. All right, so Proverbs 22 and 16. So we're about to see what what does the wealthy do? What does our rich and religious leaders do to the poor people who's been robbed of their culture? All right. So Proverbs 22 and 16, it says, "He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches." Like if you notice, like why is it that when the rich got so much money, they're in a position to give back and to make life easier, but they get richer and the poor gets poor? Like we've all heard that so many times. The rich gets rich and stays rich, and the poor gets poor and poor and poor, and they get less and less and less. This is written thousands of years ago. All right. It says, "He that oppresses the poor increases riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want." So like that's what happens with our people. Like we give everything to the rich, and we see them living their lavish lifestyles, and we tend to respect their lifestyle, and we tend to desire the lifestyle, thinking that being rich is is the way of life. When majority of us aren't even rich. The bulk of us make anywhere from 30,000 up to 80,000 a year. You understand? So we are the ones who have nothing. We are the ones who has to work, who trade in time for money, and we are the ones. Majority of us are living paycheck to paycheck. So we have to get past the ideology of you can respect someone else because they got money. No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. All right. So we're gonna drop that. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, verse 20. Ecclesiasticus 13 and 20. This is in the Apocrypha. If it's not already inside your Bible, you can buy this as a one by itself, the Apocrypha. This, of course, was taken out by the Nicene Council in the Roman Catholic Church, because this has records in there they could not keep in there because they wouldn't be able to push the agenda. Like there's all throughout the Apocrypha, you read how they made it unlawful to be a Jew. It's during the Hellenistic time period. They also show that some men refuse to eat pork. They rather die, and they literally died than to eat pork. So with the Apocrypha, like this was hardcore. And it's lawful to use because you read about the Feast of Dedication in the New Testament, and that's what Christ kept. And you read about the Feast of Dedication in the Apocrypha. So Apocrypha, go to chapter 13, verse 20. All right. So we're going to go and read this. So like this is what happens with the Lord's chosen people. When you don't have money, when you are poor, you are the downtrodden one. The religious leaders are the wealthy ones. They got all the money. They got all the power. All right. So we just cannot have respect to those persons. You should just go ahead and tear them down mentally and say, like, you know what? You ain't nothing. So what? You got a car. I got one too. If I don't got one, by saving money, go buy one. You understand? So you can't have respect to those type of persons. And it's just a sidebar to our sisters who have respect to our persons. To our sisters, you cannot have that respect to our persons, not only to another man and his riches, but to yourself. A lot of our sisters tend to think that like they don't need a man for nothing. They their own woman. They their own man. I remember when I was growing up, my sister was raising her child by herself, and there was no father around. So when Mother's Day come around, she'll say Happy Mother's Day. And then when Father's Day come around, she'll say Happy Father's Day. Like she the mother and the father. You understand? So no, like they used to have this ideology that you can be respectful of persons to a man that has money or to themselves. Meaning like they don't look at a man just because he's poor because they think that he can't do nothing for them. When the scripture says he'll make a man more precious than fine gold. So to our sisters, just an FYI, like as we wrap up the time during this, what would be the Third World War, what's going to happen is don't be surprised when an EMT, little electrical something. This is like a bomb that shuts down anything that's like electric. You know what I'm saying? Like a cause of power, a surge, cause a power outage. Don't be surprised when we get hit with one of them bombs and next thing you know, your electric car won't start and your phone don't work and you can't go out and you can't ship, you can't Uber Eats, you can't Kroger's deliver, your Whole Foods or your Hello Fresh ain't coming through. You're gonna need that man. That man knows how to walk them streets, knows the ins and outs. He has a whole map of the whole entire city, because that's where he drives to. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna need that man. Like you're gonna need that man there. So don't be having respect to persons just of not only men that has money, but to yourselves. Think that you don't need a man. Because you got a small taste of it. I mean, it might not have been that big, but you got a small taste of it when COVID hit. When some of the grocery stores didn't have hardly no food in them. There was like an outage that happened, like an oil rig had hit, and there was like gas prices went up for a little while, or just like a couple of days. But like you couldn't get to no gas. Like you're gonna need yourself not only a man, but you're gonna need like a small army. You know, so you have to go out into the store. You're gonna need like at least 10 men around you. You're gonna have to have like 6 men riding in the car with you. You're gonna have to have 3 men stay in the car while the other 3 go inside with you. You understand? Like you have to have them go in the store with you, because if you don't have them go in the store with you, they see you coming in trying to buy something, you might have to fight those men to get those groceries. Because your credit card don't work. You got to fight the men to get them off of you. You're going to have to fight the men to keep those groceries. And we all know that generally speaking, almost 99% of the time, women just can't handle men in the fisticuffs. Now you're going to try to show me like someone who can hold their own, but the average women just ain't messing with men on the physical aspect of fighting. It's like almost a slaughter. So now, do you really want to fight a man inside of a store to keep those groceries? So you done drove to the store. Now you got to fight men to get your groceries. Now you lost the battle, and then you go back to your car. You try to start your car. You can't start. You know why? Because they done siphoned all your gas out. So now you got no gas. But you was that woman who said you didn't need a man. Like yes, someone put in there. Yeah, our women, they be too masculine, and well, they always been loud, but yeah, they do be too masculine. Like they don't want to be feminine anymore. Yeah, if she could just lower the decibels in her voice, that might be a strong task to be asking. But yes, Princess, Ecclesiasticus 13 and 20, and we'll go through verse 22. Yeah, so we're having respect to our persons, our sisters. You're gonna need men to protect you. All right. You're gonna need a man to protect you. But I'm just speaking about that. I'm just giving a hypothetical. Like, yes, they are most definitely loud, but they always been loud. You're gonna have to get your woman and teach her like how to not be so loud, like how to use her words, how to use her femininity. So if she wants you to do something, or she asks you of something, teach her how to like, hey, this is how I want to receive this message. You get to yell loud, I might be combative with you. So why don't you, if you feel you got to yell, like send it to me in a text or something, or convey your words properly, that way I can understand you. Because no one likes to be yelled at. No one likes to try to be like demeaned or something like that. But the point is about our sisters, you have to understand, like you do need a man. You cannot think that you can be in this earth and not have no man around you. Because if you do, you're gonna be left for your own. So let's just say you did get those groceries, right? You got those groceries, you done ward off and fought those men for those groceries because there ain't no electricity around. Like they'll hit America with some type of electrical bond and shut the power off. So now you got your groceries, made it back to your car. So now you got to defend your house because they saw where you live at. That's how you walk out with those girls, so they follow you home. Women, you was made for a man. And men, women was made for you. Like if you think that you don't need a man because you independent and he don't have any money that you don't need him, you have made a great mistake. And I pray, our sister, I pray you understand that like you should get yourself a man, like, especially a man of the Israelite School of UPK. Another man does understand like how to treat a woman, how to treat his wife, how to get counsel, because things are going to happen, but you got to get that counsel to learn to understand how to make things better, how to make things work. All right, but yeah, our sisters, you got to go back into like the spirit of being feminine, like leave the masculine energy to the men. Our oppressors have tricked our women into believing that they have to be the man and the woman. They have to be the masculine. They have blurred the lines. They switched the roles. There's an attack out on men that's feminine. I mean, there's an attack on men that is masculine. They even call it toxic masculinity. Oh, he's toxic. And these are men who just says no. These are men who are firm in what they're doing. They're firm in their belief system. They're firm in how they go about their life. You understand? And let our women be feminine. They say get in touch with your feminine side. Men, this is how you get in touch with your feminine side. Go and touch a woman. That's your feminine side. Point blank period. Easy as that. But that was just that was something that I hope our sisters understand and receive that, and understand that you're gonna need a man, especially when society falls. A lot of our women, and some of the men that don't know how to do this, but if you don't, it's okay. It's never too late to learn. Try to learn next week, try to learn tomorrow, but try to be that intimidating lion in that front yard that's gonna hold back anybody who would dare try to come inside the house. Because a lot of our women, I'm going to say amongst the Black Hispanic Native Americans, I can't give a high percentage on it, but I'm going to say, let's just say 9 out of 10. I'm inclined to say 10 out of 10, but I'll leave room for somebody who do know. They don't know how to go out and hunt. They don't know how to go ahead and unalive that cow, how to, skin it and take out the guts and, and get the meat of that cow. They don't know how to hunt and feed for themselves. They don't know how to go out and set a fire, how to, keep the fire burning. And they might know how to cook the food once you bring it to them, but they don't know how to go out and get their food. Now, some of them, they know how to farm, a little bit of agriculture, but the majority of our sisters today, they don't have the slightest clue. All they know is their nails is done, their lashes on fleek, and they got the bag. And if he ain't got a bag, he can't get no tail. You have that type of mentality when America do get hit and the power's cut off and the gas station's out of gas and the grocery stores don't have no food, and you got that small Taurus 9mm with only 10 rounds in it. If you have that and you don't know how to protect yourself, what's going to happen is you should have had yourself a man, especially a poor man. You understand? A lot of us sisters tend to think you need a high value man, as if all a women can get one. Now, if they accept him being polygamous, then a sister, you can get yourself a high value man, meaning a man that has money. But the same thing would apply to him. Most of those men don't know how to fend for themselves. Or they have themselves a driver, so they worked at some Fortune 500 company. They got shaved face, and majority of them don't know how to load a rifle. They don't know how to hunt for themselves. They don't have bags, or they don't have foods that's stored up and put away, non-perishable food items. They don't know how to. They don't have knives and ropes and batteries, so forth and so on. You understand? So you cannot have respect a person. So sisters, don't be respecting men because he got some money. You know what I'm saying? I understand you might want to be a part of that lifestyle, or you want something that's a little bit easier. There's nothing wrong with wanting a higher paying job, because being poor is definitely hard. Nothing wrong with that. But when you only desire because he has money, there's a word for that. They call them gold diggers. And for the women who has their own money, that don't mean you're exempt from being a gold digger. You can be a gold digger with your own money. But you have to understand, find yourself a man that knows how to survive, whether he was poor or wealthy, whether society crashed or not. Get yourself that type of man that's going to have a plan in case if society crashes. Because if you don't, and you want a man that got his bag, No sweat. When it crashes, y'all gonna crash together. All right, let's get back to these scriptures. All right, let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 13, verse 20. As the proud hate humility, so doeth the rich abhor the poor. Like, man, every time we go through these scriptures, like, and it's just to show our people, like, just because you got money, that don't mean God loves you. That don't mean God is with you. Like, we're reading in these scriptures that Christ, the Most High in Christ, they're talking about the wealthy. They're talking bad about, hey, look, he didn't choose you because you was wealthy. He don't care nothing about your riches. Like, he don't care nothing about your riches. If you're wealthy, so what? If you got riches, but you're not giving it to the poor, you're not helping out the poor, you're not making life easier for your brother. Because a lot of times a lot of our people got rich off of poor people. Like, you're not making their life any easier. The Most High don't care nothing about that. Like, the sort of the proud hate humility, like that, the rich hates the poor. And that's the reason why we got to get past the having respect to our persons who give a damn about their riches. Like, they hate the poor. They hate the ones who make them rich. You know what I'm saying? Like, they despise the ones who make them rich. I'm going to keep going. Verse 21. A rich man beginning to fail, so like beginning to fall, is held up of his friends. Like I said earlier, Brett Favre has many friends. Like he got caught stealing millions of dollars, but his friends took up for him, and we ain't heard nothing since. You understand? Like that Kevin guy from the TV show, something Spades, House of Cards, or something like that. What the name of the TV show was on Netflix? They said he molested another boy. He has rich friends, and we ain't heard nothing since. You understand? Like, the rich, they have many friends. Like, they tell you now, they go golfing together. They go to those gentleman clubs. They go to those little something club where they go and sit in the steam room together and all this other nastiness that they do. Like, they have those private meetings, and they all have on hoods and goat masks on, and all of them are rich together, and they're part of different societies, so forth and so on. Like, the rich has many friends, and they know who the DA is. They know who the 12 jurors are. They know who the judge is, who the police chief is, who's the politician, what laws to put in place, what laws to take out. They know what to do when it comes to stuff like that. All right, it says, but a poor man being down is thrust also away by his friends. Like, when you're poor and you falling down on your feet, you don't have nobody to help you up. The rich man has somebody that can loan him millions of dollars. They call them bailouts. You understand? Like, we all heard stories of, like, I think Kanye West brought it out. He was rich. He said he was down and out. He asked Jay-Z for $20 million. He gave it to him. I might be investing a little bit on the prices, but the point is, the rich got those. Like, when you're poor, it's a hassle just to borrow $30. Like, hey, can you loan me $30? I pay back next week soon I get it. When the rich get poor or lose a lot of money, they like, hey, look, give me like $15 million. And let me have $15 million. You understand? Like, that's life-changing money for somebody that's poor. But to the rich, it's just what they want. They just, hey, give me $20 million, I'll be good. So the poor has no friends. Verse 22. When a rich man is falling, he have many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. The poor man slip, and yet they rebuke him too, and speak wisely, and cannot have no place. Like, if that ain't blacks, Hispanics, and Americans, I don't know who is. It says, like, when verse 22, when a rich man is fallen, he has many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, like Donald Trump. Grab him by the box. Like, how can you so well? You should watch what you say. Now, they say what they want because they're rich, and it is a fine. It's just a fine. They can pay that no problem. Like, the rich man, they speak of things they should not be saying. You should not be making comments like that about just forcing yourself or forcing your hands to a woman's bosom, like reaching over there, grabbing her buttocks, like, hey, he just grab him by the box. Ain't no big deal. There's a box right there. You see the box, you like, you touch it. Like, that's what the rich man say. They speak of things they should not say. All right, and it says, verse 22, and yet men justify him. Like, nobody had a major issue with Trump saying stuff like that. And we can think of a bevy of quotes that what the people had said, and you be like, man, that just ain't right. That just don't sit right. But yet people don't ostracize them, you know, run their name through the coals and the mud for saying such a derogatory statements. Or I'll give you another thing about like what Trump used to say. Like he used to say like, oh, a shithole country and a certain demographic of people, they are rapists and murderers, when he had no statistics to prove that, or his own race of people does the same or commit the same crimes. So we have to get past, you have to understand, like, the rich speaks like this. You understand? All right, I'm going to keep going. It says, the poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spake wisely and could have no place. Like, for example, like, a lot of times people like, man, what you're saying is right, but you're poor, so no one's going to listen. Just like no one wants to listen to a black man. Nobody wants to listen to a man who doesn't have money. Like a black man might tell you, like, hey, look, for good health things, get you this type of plant, ashwagandha. Or if you're trying to lose weight around your face, go on a 2-week sugar diet. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one teaches out, no one listens to the poor man. Like, they were freaking like, hey, man, who man's is this? Like, who is this talking? Like, what you're saying is true, but you make 50,000 in a year, but you only take home about 39,000. He has 50,000 to spend every month. So we're gonna listen to him, even though he says derogatory things, even though he sounds like an idiot when he speaks. Nobody wants to listen to the wealthy man. Nobody wants to listen to the man that who don't have any money. You understand? From the finish upon the scripture. Let's see. That should be it. Let me drop that. Let's go to let's go to James 1 and 9. No, let me go to Luke 11:11, and then I'm gonna go to James 1 and 9. So when you talk about the poor, like the poor should just help. The poor should get help from the wealthy. Because 9 times out of 10, the wealthy has gotten rich off of the poor. It's all about giving back and like helping out, humbling yourself. But the poor has a culture that's been taken from them. And the religious ones are the wealthy ones. The ones who are all inclusive about everybody, all being a part of one kumbaya, so forth and so on. All right, so let's go to Luke 11:11. It says, if a son shall ask bread of any of you that is a father, will he give him a stone? Like, if I ask you, like, for example, if I ask you, like, hey, you know, son, I'm hungry, and you know, so you got anything to eat? You think I'm gonna give you a brick? I'm gonna go pick a rock up off the ground? Like, how insulting could you be to someone who's in need? How insulting could you be for those who are just downtrodden and they need help? All right. Or if he asks a fish, will he for a fish give him a serpent? The brother said, hey, yo, brother, can I have I'm hungry, man. Could you buy me some, man? Could you buy me like a fish sandwich? And you get a man a snake. You get a man a lizard off the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like how cruel could our people be towards one another? When I say our people, I'm talking about the blacks, Hispanics, and Americans, and I'm separated by class. I'm separated by wealth. Like, how cruel can the wealthy be towards the poor? And then on top of that, I'll take it a little step further. Like, it's also the wealthy Gentiles, the wealthy heathens that's outside of our race who still oppressing the poor. So, like, the poor being oppressed is something that's not new. Now I'm going to go to James 1 and 9. I just want to bring that scripture out. I got just a few more scriptures for y'all to understand about how the Lord doesn't care if you're rich. He don't give a damn about you being rich. He wants you to give to his people. You understand? So if you don't want to give to the Lord's chosen people, no problem. If you're rich and you don't want to give back to help your own kinsmen, the Lord will deal with you, no problem. All right, so this is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 9. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted. Verse 10. But the rich in that he had made low, because of the flower of the grass, he shall pass away. Like when it says the brother in low degree, like brother who's downtrodden, he don't have much of nothing. He just down there, he's struggling. Ain't nobody trying to help him. That's all he got. Ain't nobody, he ain't got nothing. It says, but the rich that is made low, like the rich gonna make you low. The rich is gonna come in and buy the small house you have, drive you further out the city, further into the country, further into different ghettos, and he's gonna take that house and make it that $50,000 house, tear it down, build up something high and tall on top of it, and sell for $700,000. So like this is what the rich does to our people. All right, we'll go to Acts. No, we'll go to James. Let's go to James 2:15. We'll go just a chapter over. Go verses 15 and 15 and 16. James chapter 2, verse 15. If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, like they don't have nothing, like they out here starving, so they ain't got nothing. Verse 16. And one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warm and filled with notwithstanding. Ye give them not those which things are needful to the body, what doeth it profit? So, for example, let's say like you got that granny that's been in church for 40 years, and you come up to the pastor like, say, pastor, my grandma's struggling. Like, go on home and pray about it. Like those of our religious leaders. Those are the wealthy leaders of our people. The rich ones. So like they're the ones who mistreat the poor. That's the religious set. That's the religious ones. The religious ones are the rich ones, and the poor ones have a little bit of a culture. Like we are the ones who sometimes tend to stick together for a small portion. I mean, like we in this together, like we poor together, we struggling together. But Christ is gonna show people how we're supposed to live. You understand? So that's just like that. That's just how the wicked, wealthy religious leaders has always been. And I always tell you people leave like, hey, depart from me. You don't need to come over here. Just go over there and everything be all right. All right. Let's go to Acts chapter 4, verse 32. And I got just a few more scriptures for y'all. So that way, after this class, you'll know like the culture versus religion, and you'll also know about wealthy versus the poor. All right, this is the book of Acts, chapter 4, verse 32. It says, and the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that out of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common. Verse 33. And with great power gave the apostles witness to the resurrection of the Lord Yahushua with great grace, and was upon them all. Verse 34. Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them and bought the prices of the things that were sold. Meaning, like, if you are a brother that got millions of dollars worth of acres and millions of dollars worth of land, you sell that and you help your kinsmen out. Like it says, there was on one accord, like they all came together. Like I said, we all in this together. Like we all poor, we all need food to eat, we all ain't got this. But hey, how can we sell what we got to make a community for our own people? Like that's what we did. We did things out of necessity, out of what was needed. So if a brother had like a 7-bedroom house and it's just him, and you got a family full of 14, it's wise to let the 14 live in that 7-bedroom house, and he gonna get himself a 1-bedroom house or a 1-bedroom apartment. We did things based out of necessity. Why? Because we were poor. Because we didn't have much. We had to stick together. You understand? We do things out of necessity. Our religious leaders are the ones that are rich. They don't understand this. All they want to do is be greedy. All they want to do is take. They don't want to be the ones who wants to help out their kinsmen. And when they do donate, they donate to places don't nobody really see the money at. You know how many times I see some celebrities say they donated $500,000 to Boys and Girls Club? Let's just say that's true. Let's say it's true. They actually donated $500,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. Why is it that ain't nobody saw that money? Like, I don't see what they doing. I ain't seen Boys and Girls Club. I go to a center, I go to a center which is a state property, and I see the Boys and Girls Club, and I see them with a T-shirt on, and that's it. I don't see nothing else. Like, why is it they always donate this money to these different places, but we can't even track that money? You understand? What you should donate your money to the ISUPK. Commander Junior Hano, he's not gonna go buy no Rolls Royce with your money. Take the money, he's gonna give back to the poor. He's gonna help pay somebody's bills, someone's rent, someone's mortgage, help buy somebody food. We have food drives. We have, especially down here in Nashville, we have food drives. We have clothes drives. We give to the needy based on necessity. We give to the poor. We give to our own kinsmen. We help try to build our people up. We are out here to raise up our people. But when you are rich, you don't care nothing about that. Like the rich could not do what Acts the 4th chapter, primarily verse 32 and 34 has done. Like they'll never do nothing like that. They'll never do things based on necessity. It's all about how much greed and how much want. I just got two more scriptures and I'll be done. I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and 20. Isaiah 30 and 20. All right, so this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Lord give you bread of adversity and water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into the corner anymore, but thy eyes shall see thy teachers. This right here, I'm gonna go and break this down. Verse, we'll start over. And though the Lord gives you bread of adversity, I mean, like he's gonna test you. He's gonna come out here and show our people like, yeah, you're gonna have to be tested. It's gonna be hard times. It's gonna be hell. They gave you the bread of adversity. Like it's gonna be difficult to live amongst this life. It's gonna be difficult to find a way out. For those who just joined in, do we ever teach on the book of Ezekiel? Yeah, we're going through the book of Ezekiel, through that prophet. But the title of this class is Culture versus Religion, and this is the second part of the class. So this part of it was talking about the culture of how it is to be, I don't want to say the culture of being poor, but we're talking about like how we don't have any culture of how to treat our people. And we're talking about how the religious ones who tend to be, the wealthy ones, and the poor people tend to have like a culture of their own, like they can't get out. You know what I'm saying? So we want to teach our people that we got to separate from religion and be like all inclusive. Like you can't be like so much to be a part of like how you can join up with everybody else. We have to separate ourselves to come into the culture of the Bible. And then it segue into the rich versus the poor. And to answer the question, who are the Gentiles? Gentiles, that has two definitions. It depends on the context of how you use it. The context can be is an Israelite who's taken the customs of other nations. Like, for example, if you are so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, and you think that you are Chinese, or you think that you are white American, or you think that you're an Egyptian, stuff like that. You take on the culture of other races. The other definition is for a non-Israelite, meaning like you're not born as an Israelite. So therefore, you're just a different race. So that's who the Gentiles are. So if you're not a so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, you are a Gentile, and you are a Gentile, and you are or it could be an Israelite who just don't don't accept your nationality. You might think that the Jews don't exist, or you might think that you was, I don't know, Commission. You might think that you did your Ancestry.com and they said you're from the Igbo tribe in, I don't know, Sudan or something. You know what I'm saying? You might say, you know what, you don't care what you are. You are a rich poor. You are a Puerto Rican. You don't identify with your tribe. You don't identify with your race. So to answer your question, those are who the Gentiles are. It just depends on the context of how you are using it. All right. So back to Isaiah 30 and 20. How about Shusha Patah? I like it. Shalom Christ. What's going on, Hebrew? All right, go ahead, do your thing. All right, so although the Lord gives you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into the corners of any more. I mean, like, you're going to always see us as an Israelite school of UPK. We're out there going to be on the street corner teaching our people. We're out there going to be on these classes that you see on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We can also see us out here on the TV, whether it be on Viceland or some local news or some university. We're going to be out here to teach our people. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be out here on every corner. Weather permit, Lord allow, weather permit. You understand? So we're going to be out here to teach our people that the Lord is coming back coming back for our people. But we have to turn away from our religious leaders. We got to turn away from the mentality of you being rich and how you can hurt the poor. And we got to come back to the culture of our people, or the culture of our God, which is the God of Israel. And you can do that by keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. If you don't do that, when the Most High do come back, you will be destroyed, and so you have to come back later when he raise you up again, if he chose to do so. So that's why we're here to teach our people. We're here to teach our people like there is something versus religion. There is a culture. You should have a culture that should supersede being religious, that should supersede your class as far as whether you were rich or poor. Like, you don't have to be religious. Like, you shouldn't be religious, because being religious means that you have respect of persons. All right. So, like, 1 second. Did you know Revelation talk about a group of people pretending to be Jews and they are actually? Yeah, that's and for Justice or 691, who is that people that they're talking about? Do you know? Type that in the chat if you know who they're talking about. All right, because that fits the description of a certain group of people who don't have the curses of the Bible. There you go. Absolutely. They are the ones who are say they're Jews and are not. One, because they don't fit none of the curses. You understand? And on top of that, Christ says he will put them back into their land. He will put the Jews back into their land. Last I checked, Christ ain't came. It was the Americans that freed them in World War I or World War II. Whichever world war it was, that's how they came back into power. On top of it, it says, and so many times throughout the whole entire Bible, it tells you that the Jews are black. I mean, it says it plain as day. But you understand? So, back to about the rich and the poor. We're going to be out here teaching our people. You know what I'm saying? Whatever new internet come out, whatever new social media, whatever. Dealing with the Holocaust, that was, by Adolf Hitler, you know what I'm saying? He planned it out and executed that, and that was an atrocity. Just a little side, but that was an atrocity that what Adolf Hitler and them, they did to the Ashkenazi Jews, to the Jewish man. Excess, what they say, around 6 million people died over a span of how many years? I don't know, say 2. You know what I'm saying? Had them in camps and stuff like that. That was very cruel, and he oppressed them people. It was wrong. But for what the Ashkenazi Jews, they went through in very recent, history, you would think that they would have some type of compassion for like another race of people. They have no compassion for the Lord's chosen people. They have no compassion for like the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Like, they come up, they're here and they oppress other people. Like, they was oppressed, and you'd think that they will do something to ensure that nobody has to endure what they have endured through. No one has to get ripped off and deceived and so forth and so on. But yet they'll come here and they'll trick some young kid who needs the money into some record deal where he can't even make no money, to the point where like he knows he's been on his own name, so forth and so on. Like, they are a cruel people themselves. No, for the Chris, no, that's not talking about other races of people. He might have been profiting off the war. A lot of a lot of powerful people profits off of war. A lot of people profit off of war. All right. But to answer your question, no. If you're not part of the 12 tribes of the house of Israel, there is no tree that you can attach yourself to be grafted in. When they talk about the Gentiles, that's referring to, I answered this question earlier. Gentiles has the context. It has the two definitions. It can be referring to an Israelite who takes on the custom of other races, or it can be a non-Israelite. It just depends on the context. All right. I got just two more scriptures. Let me go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. 1 Corinthians 13 and 4. All right, I ain't gonna keep y'all too much longer. So, Sonic Noah, no, Abraham was not an Israelite. He was not. He was in Hebrew. He was not an Israelite. He predates Israel. You know, it's Abraham, Isaac, then Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So to answer the question, no, he was not an Israelite. But what's more important, what is important, he had the covenant. He has God's covenant. And it went from Abraham, Isaac, down to Jacob. Jacob is to change his name to Israel. He's the progenitor of the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes of Jacob, or the 12 tribes of Israel, has the covenant. All right. So, are you saying that certain YT people are out of luck? No, they are. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to pay for their crimes. You understand? They're gonna have to pay for their crimes. No, we're not saying what you mean saved. No, the covenant went from Abraham. He had the covenant, then he passed it down to Isaac, and then Isaac passed it down to Jacob. And then and it's for Jacob and his 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. We're going to talk about what love is. Charity, 1 Corinthians 13 and 4. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up. Charity, all right, yeah, charity is, for those who don't know, charity, there's two different definitions. There's a definition that we're all familiar with, as in like, you give to charity, some organization, using nonprofit, then you'll help out. That's for charity. But charity to the Bible is love. And love is, it suffers long. You know, a lot of us sisters tend to think that like they can't love that man no more because you know, he got another woman. He has another woman. He got 2 or 3 wives and so forth and so on. So, but charity suffers long and is kind. Like the reason I know that our women can suffer long, I give you one prime example. And I'll probably just end the class after this one. One prime example is that our sisters can go out and get pregnant and then have to endure through hell for 9 months. You know, the body's changing and they're getting heavier. Babies start kicking. Other stuff is happening with their organs. You know, they're being pushed around and lacking energy, and foods they love to eat, they can't eat no more because the baby will reject it or they don't like it. Their hormones is out of whack, whatever. Then they go have that painful birth. They give birth to the child, and for about 5 seconds, they get a small relief and they're happy. Then it's back to the baby, you know, crying and waking up in the wee hours of the morning, and, you know, they're kicking and screaming and they're tired. They got to go to work. They got to get the baby up, so forth and so on. Then over time, the baby gets a little older, they start to rebel and say, "Mommy, I hate you and I don't love you," and blah, blah, blah. They become spoiled brats and stuff. And you know what happens? That mother still has charity for her kids. She still has love for them, and she still is kind. Now, she might discipline them, but she still is kind. So don't tell me that women, you can show charity to your children, but you can't show that amount of charity for your husband. You can do it because you've done it already, and you're doing it now. But the scripture says charity suffer a long time. All right, it says charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Like charity, like having love, you're not supposed to envy nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got love for somebody, be happy that they got it. Like, help someone else get it. Like, if someone else get it, you know what I'm saying? Be happy that they got it. All right. It says, or the Mexicans in the Bible, not under that rulership name, the Issachar will be his name, biblically speaking, or Asher. All right. But yes, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, well, all throughout the Bible, and we make up the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. Which I might do. I might just teach a class. I might have to make it to like 2 or 3 classes of the 12 tribes of Israel and how they, and spiritually speaking, and the characteristics of these different tribes to show you like the different races of people. But lastly, I want to say is like when you have this charity, love, it suffers long and it's kind. Like you got to be kind to one another. And the rich, they are not kind to the poor. The rich don't have any charity. They have charity for their own money. You understand? And the religious leaders, they don't have any charity for those who don't have the culture of the Bible. But us, in the Israelite School of UPK, we are not the religious leaders. We're not the wealthy ones who has all the money and who are going to mistreat the Lord's chosen people. Now, we're here to save our people. We're here to offer correction to our people. We are poor as well. We got a 9 to 5 as well. But we have charity for our brothers. We have charity for our sisters. And whether we are the lower class or middle class or high class, whether some of us might be a millionaire or might be worth $1 million, and some of us don't have much or nothing. None of us are homeless. None of us have without. We all come together to help our people. If a brother say he ain't got a house, we got a barracks. From the ladies said that. Brother say he need a way to work. We pool our resources together to help out their brother or their sister. Sister says she needs some diapers. Brothers is coming over there within 20 minutes to give us some diapers. We even come out to help do funerals for those who are not a part of our school, but they know they are an Israelite. You understand? So we're here to give charity to our people. We're to tell our people, like, you have your own culture. Your culture is the God of Israel. And he wants us to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. All right? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the class. Tune in Thursday for scripture breakdown. Also, for those of Israel, I have an announcement to make. If you are going to the Lord's Passover here in April, we urge you to shuttle everywhere you go. There will be an enormous amount of traffic in North Carolina. So like if I said South Carolina. There will be an enormous amount of traffic there. So we're going to urge you to get on the shuttle bus everywhere you go. All right, because there will be a lot of traffic, and at some point you might have to get out and walk. I mean, if you want to Uber somewhere, that's fine, but we urge you to shuttle everywhere you go. All right? And with that, I'm going to end the class. Shalom, Israel.
Shalom. It's that time again, Israel. It's the Lord's 54th annual Passover in North Carolina.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
The ISUPK, under Commander General Yohana, will be hosting the Lord's 54th annual Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Convention Center. This is something that you do not want to miss. Make sure that y'all bring the entire family. The Downtown Raleigh Convention Center. for blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. Go to isupk.com to purchase your tickets today. $200 per every adult over the age of 17 years old.
We are not the same. No, we not related. I'm not stuck on living. Death is a vacation. My camp undefeated. You cannot debate it. You just want the clout.
The
We just want the
Lord's
grace.
54th annual Passover, April the 1st, is coming down to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's right. Commander General Yohana has done it again. You don't want to miss this. Hold yourself. Hold yourself.
Yeah, don't have messed up, no. Bad news is to beat your home, nigga. Yeah. Go on, get on that ass real quick one time. 144, baby.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole car. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this Lord, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Wait up, let me make a call right quick. I'ma start another war. I was hurting when she left, but I don't care about anymore. I need a Vaselina like my Nina Puffer bar. Took a Zoc, watch the dark. Matter of fact, like a dart. Any problem, let them go. We gon' snatch they soul like Shane Sharp. Put them out of service, keep them tools like Miss Hopper Free. Try to hold me, it's way too late. I'm headed straight to the safe. Throw that one up like a trophy. I'm that nigga, ain't no debate. Told them boys we taking over. Call them up like set the date. This shit a piece of cake. Yeah, my bitches came from Whole Foods. Told them put on that top 3. Then bring me my house shoes. Don't make excuses. These niggas ungrateful, gotta show them UPK rules. I make hits like I can't lose. They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, the whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this Lord. Told that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Yeah, I just got off the call. I'ma start another war. Spit a plate up with my niggas, get your knife and your fork. He ain't locked in with the counting, when you speaking to me fart. Yeah, I just took the floor. Ain't no cowards in my campaign. They can't stop the campaign. Tell them bring the champagne. They know I'm a champion. They can see the outcome. Get them niggas bad, got them tied down and out there. Came to with them steppers, niggas been down since day one. We run up the bands, bitch like Dylan. They say you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. Yeah, about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. I told you niggas, you ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our car. And I just made the call. We gon' start another war. Yeah.
Send my bro a kite quick. Times of war, we ain't forget about you. Keep your light lit. Rappers can't see. Most of them scared to witness. Go and close your eyes. There's one right here for the trenches. Bad bitches, natural hair or extensions. Hood niggas that'll poly grip like some dentures. Brothers on them fences. 23 and 1 out. Praying that that commissary hit before it run out. Bitches on the gram, dog filter with their tongue out. Couldn't stay home because they found the dugout. Closed casket, burner in the low jacket. I got 2 jets. If I can't make it through for them, then I'm useless. Sit down that roof, Chris, with a couple bosses. After the war, just to count our losses. It's not many. You see a smile on my face, but I'm not friendly. Gone on my waist, sipping white Henny. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart, grip my bow tie. Waiting on the squab in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart, grip my bow tie. Living in the squab in my whole life. My whole life. It's so melodic. When I be dropping this ebonics, this ghetto phonics, it got me on the level supersonic. My bomb atomic, and you know where you can find me. Somewhere probably folding this paper origami. My name is pure as Dasani, my wave is like a tsunami. I went from 0 to 100, feeling like Ricky Bobby. I made a deal with the Reaper. Got a couple wives, they some keepers. Talk a lot of shit, but you can't walk a mile in my sneakers. Bitches go to Miami, come home with change features. Now she got a BBL, her ass fatter. Trying to show up all them niggas that laughed at her. Now when they see her, they only wanna fuck her. They just wanna touch her, they don't wanna cuff her. They just wanna come and kick it with her like a punter. Turned her to a runner, now it's all aboard the train. Fenty on her face, but it's not concealing the pain, it's a shame. So I'm in the hood like some rap snacks. I know niggas kill you and your mama for a scat pack. Dark tint, matte black, they do it for half that. Had you like 90s Missy in a fucking trash bag. I'm from Philly, we don't do bank accounts, just cash app. I spit a verse and I just watch the time slow. This that guy flow, this that shit that rappers die for. This that uncut Taha Wall straight from Pablo Escobar. I be at the bar like Moscato. They think it's effort, but no, this that block work. Make the countermeasures, take pleasures, making an op hurt. Lightest in the sky, cause every verse is a concert. My mind work at speed y'all can't fathom. Listen to the words of a champion. It can't, the streets need another anthem. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart, grip my bow tie. Waiting on the squab in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right.
Alright, this is Rooted Speech, man. We got Captain Taiwan in the building. Yeah. So Cap, man, let us know where you from.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, man, on Rooted Speech, man. I break it down right quick.
Don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I finish, one West when I start. Big shine, big glow. I be gone till November, let my bitch know. I'm back by the winter, bubbling like Crisco. I need my pockets all swollen like a lymph node. Talking out the side of your neck, get you a slit throat. I stay broke, don't care if I got $1 million. Looking down on me, I put your brains on the ceiling. Fuck kicking down the door, we bout to demo the building. These fake cats all in these groups, I wonder who ya. Shoot ya off your pulpit, hallelujah. 4-pound gun youngin' down like it's a cougar. On my feet, combat boots, or is it Puma? Words spreading around about me, none of it rumor. All truth, very big facts. Very large caliber on very small gaps. Compact pistols, ladders, and all that. About to throw the switch in the Nina for rapid fire. Got the 5.7 equipped with the magnifier. Boom shakalaka equipped with the rim rocker. We ain't really got beef, yeah, Ramak would have been shot you. The best rhymer since Pac and Big Papa. Big llama, big juice, I'm Big Jamba. Quarter tank of gas, I ride like a big timer. No informer, no sweat, not in China. My conglomerate wreck like King Tonga. No Asian pun me, no chink in armor. Remain calm throughout pain that bring drama. Stay focused on things that bring commas. Took all pressure, applied and made diamonds. Stayed true, kept shit pure, my name honored. Paid all dues and debts and kept promise. Make sure you show respect, pay homage. I'm one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I said I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I'm the hottest on the market, don't make me start it. I'ma pull up in a Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I remember days was trapping out the apartment. Now one West about put me up in a starship. About to fly the friendly skies in this bitch. Spit the truth on the corners, I lie a little bit. I'm a stand-up nigga, I die before I switch. Down, no we up, I'm cool with who I with. I'ma be war the king and stay dangerous. Hold down the biz and fam, remain blameless. Now rappers drippy with styles we made famous. First with studs and spikes in any city. Design grinding, charge a stack for shit that can't fit me. Had friends on my coattail way before Jimmy. Funny how the general ain't even see a penny. Better show respect, get smoked like a chimney. Keep my name out your mouth, don't even think it. Send a real Smith at y'all, no Jada Pinkett. Both ball heads, my grain above 50. Lost my man to the game, that pain that stuck with me. Had to find a cheat code to the street though, cause them niggas getting foul, shoot you like a free throw. Keep spitting acid like a Mino, and a nigga be the nicest with a mean flow. Try to ride my wave, you gon' need a speedboat. I'm hot like 100 degrees in a peacoat. Scarf in the sweater, I embark every letter. It's UPK, not a part, but together. Homie, I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. One West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West.